What's up, y'all? So, how y'all doing? We got a beautiful day out here on the spiritual ranch, which is where you're at right now. My name is Chesho Sheshdock No Wehe, and I'm the off-grid oracle. And yeah, I was just sitting here hanging out. I was reading some of my grandma's poetry here. Um, I don't know why I haven't read more of it. I should. I had the book for a long time, whatever. But she was something else. So yeah, I was sitting here just reading. But I told a story in my last read about how they thought she was crazy because of her paintings and stuff. And those are her paintings. If you can see right there, there's a woman with a little baby in her belly. She calls it Spirit Enters Matter, which, man, I think that's great. That's an excellent name. My grandma was a trippy woman. She was in a lot of ways like not what you would expect. She was kind of the Americana version of the old lady. She's from Oklahoma, and so they're kind of a little bit, like Southern Baptist, Southern whites. And she's Irish. But she still had the gift. She really did. Like, and she had a good heart. She wasn't like a redneck or racist or any of that other shit that you encounter with a lot of people from that area. And in all honesty, I think that's stereotype because every Okie I met was pretty cool. But my grandfather on my mother's side, yeah, he was an Oregonian hillbilly, and them Oregon hillbillies and the Okies, they didn't get along. There's a real like racial divide there amongst white people. There was something else though, but yeah, he really didn't like them Okies. My dad was a hippie. My grandpa was a logger, but Oregonians are real liberal thinkers. And so he had more problems with my dad being an Okie than he did have my dad having long hair. So, anyways, but yeah, I was sitting here reading the poem, and then I started pulling a couple cards, and then I had these old coins I've been kind of working with. So I threw them out there to see if there's a message or whatever, and I started to pick one up. So I figured I'd just go ahead and share it with you all. First, I'll read the poem, though. It's called The Prisoner. It's I have a knife, honed very sharp, I'm sure will set me free, away from my strife, from voice of harp, from ancient family tree. With cutting edge, I try to say goodbye to past regrets, trying with bitter wedge to feed the lie that memory begets. Once warm body, soft lips, tender heart that cared, to sham, shoddy, scathing whips of hardened stone impaired. Tightly tied around my neck and can't be cut away, with blade that lied, that could cut cord check, holds fast my love at bay. It's The Prisoner. It's by Catherine Stark, my grandma. Grandma. And so I'll sit here, and I threw these coins out. I've been trying to just see what's up, other means of getting messages out there or whatever, and I was looking at it, and we got one that's a tails over here, and I got a heads over here, and those are the big coins, and so I'm going to say those are key players. I'm going to say one's the masculine and one's the feminine. We got tails over here and the heads over here, so that's the masculine, and they're divided because there's distance between them, This pig tooth and this cross. That cross represents an institution, or way of seeing things, or like government. It's anything that's an institution, or like, because even families could be like that, could be institution, like they could have their way of doing things, and then that's just the way that they do it, and they don't look outside of that, and I think, and so the upside down cross to me, it really represents broken institution. It represents an institution that is only for the institution and does not represent the individual spirit, of each and every one of us. And so it's manipulative and it tries to control spirit so that we all become homogenous, and we lose our diversity of what God made us to be. Each and every one of us is individual, like a snowflake. This ain't about color or skin. This ain't about Any of that shit. Race. It ain't about who's richer, who's poorer. God made us all bright stars, gaseous orbs. Celestial orbs that are always ever expanding. And so, like, this shit is on that level. It's on that deeper level. But these broken institutions are trying to confine that. They're trying to take that and control that and take that away from you. If you've got a powerful orb that can teach other orbs that that's what they are, they want to reduce your ability to have that strength and that individual shine, And so that's why the Christian church, especially our Catholic church, the Church of Christ, they worship false idol of a suffering and dead man, child of God, nailed to a wooden altar, and that's this cross, and so that's why in the upright, that's what it represents, and so that's the institution. But that institution worships child sacrifice. That institution thinks it's good to kill your children to have them pay for your own sins, and that's what this pig tooth represents next to that cross upside down, because the pig tooth is abundance, pigs are abundant animals, very abundant. They can make something out of nothing. They're like magicians, highly intelligent and abundant, resourceful. Like they can make do, they can get by, they can survive no matter what, And in fact, like in some areas, they could become a problem where they could almost take over everything because they're so abundant and they're so skilled at practicality, out of resourcefulness, And so this process of thinking about how abundance is managed and handled institutionally within either a family unit, or it could be a religious group, it could be a cult, it could be government, it could be many things right now. I would say all of those, actually. And those institutions and their way that they're trying to manage the abundance that is available to all of us as chosen children of God is really cause a divide between the masculine and the feminine here. That's what I think, And so that institutional way of thinking is causing an 8 of Swords situation on the Ace of Cups. Because there's an Ace of Cups, for all the chosen ones right now, because God loves you very much, just you, just you, individually. You are the Ace of Cups, to God. But the institution over here, they don't want you to be aware of that, and so they're causing a divide, which is causing one of the soulmates over here, because see, this is them together, is trying to rise up, The one soulmate is trying to ascend, the feminine is trying to ascend, but the masculine is laying down on it, Because they're in this 8 of Swords, they feel bound. But the reason that they're bound is because the institution here has holes in their stories, and that's a consumer tax. It says that coin, and 1/1 on it. So there is new beginnings, but the 8 of Swords has to be broken, because that's keeping the masculine and the feminine in this 2 of Wands, because the institution's got a hole in the story and they're standing in the way of their abundance here, But this coin over here, this big one, this represents the masculine and the feminine and the divine union with this in this 2 of Wands energy here. See, they're in this 2 of Wand energy because this coin here is 1 wand. That's the wand they have in their hand. And then this coin right here, that's the other wand, right? But see, this wand right here is by the sea. This is a shell. This wand's by the sea and the ocean, And then this is land over here, right? And so the feminine is probably an earth sign. And she's on solid ground. The feminine is the wand in hand, right? But the masculine, he's standing over here with the water, with this shell, with the ocean, right? So he's on water. He's not as solid as the feminine is right now, And he's hanging with this wand over here, right? And that wand says on it, that coin says no cash value. And so there's something here with the emotions, with the water in this situation that has no cash value, you know? And so right now, the divine couple, you know, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, they only have this one wand. They only can value this one wand. The emotional situation has no cash value, you know? And so what they need to focus on is the solid ground they have, that stability right there, and they need to work on building the cash value on this wand right here, so that they could get out of this 2-1 situation, you know. And that's what this one right here is, where they realize, because that quarter got shot through with the 22 bullet at a target range, right? So it's a good shot, right? It was lucky, bam, you know. Right through that quarter. That's a good shot. And so and then they found the quarter afterwards, you know. That's good luck, you know. And so there's good luck for these people here, for this individual, for these spirits, you know, for this energy. There's good luck to get to this abundance, but it's that they gotta get on the same ground. They gotta find common ground, you know. They gotta find common ground. Even if it's this coin here, which is a little smaller than this one over here, it's still, they got to find common ground, and they got to realize, like, this coin here, it may not have a whole lot of value, but this one has no cash value. And so they got to get from this two of wands. This individual's got to get out of this 2 of wands situation where they're struggling between earth and water. And then they could get this institution put in its place, you know, and they could break past the boundaries that they set up against their abundance over here with that pig tooth, and then bring these two back together again. But they could be back together again on common ground, you know. This masculine right here, he's out sideways. He's like kind of got his face down. He's like looking down the ground, you know. And this feminine right here, she's in the upright, you know. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking with the coins. That's a new thing for me, but I kind of like it. I don't know what the one is underneath everything right there, but that one with the hole in it, that one means that institution right there, that it's got a hole in its story, man. And then that other one next to it with the hole in it on the top right there, that got shot, that means that high priestess right there, that she's taking shots at these motherfuckers because she's confident that there's got holes in their stories, man. And she's got that abundance on her side. You see, the upside down institution with that cross right there is on the same side as the masculine. You know what I mean? That's what I think. That's what God's telling me to think. I try not to do too much thinking for myself anymore, because I can't be trusted, you know, with that shit. That's like a loaded weapon, you know. And like, God, I just gotta give it over to God, man, because God puts heavy duty shit there, man. It can be kind of confusing sometimes, so you just gotta be able to trust your intuition. And that's what that 8 of hearts is, you know. Ace of hearts right there. If you got that Ace of hearts, you got that's your intuition, you know. That helps you navigate through situations like what's going on right here, you know. You got that intuition. You can look at freaking anything and get a message that you need from God, man, or from your loved ones, you know. They all work together for you, you know. You just gotta know where to look, you know. You get good at it, you can see a message in a pile of dog shit. But I prefer different mediums to work with myself, you know. For sure. Anyhow, we'll pull a couple more cards on this one then. That's where I left off with that. God Most High, please protect us all, you know, here in this space right now. Open it up so that you can channel through me, you know. You gave me a tongue that's sharp as a knife, man. Cuts like a sword, you know. And so it's dangerous without you being the individual who is wielding it, you know. And so I give myself over to you. I'm your vessel, and I'm your sword. And you use my tongue as you choose, man. And swing hard, strike deep, you know. And I want to pierce that armor that most of these people around here nowadays got around their hearts, you know. And so that keeps them from hearing your truth, man, because this world tells them to fear you, and that just makes you sad, you know. And people don't seem to understand that shit, man. Maybe we could work together. We could get a message out here on their ears that they're going to hear, and they're going to realize that fucking they've been misled, you know, this whole time, man. That that you love them, you know, it makes you feel sad that they think that you should be feared. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for protecting the little guy. Thank you for protecting the few of them out there that still got good souls to love. You know, seems like there's a lot of lost individuals out here. God, give me the strength, please, to love them too. You know. Amen. Spirit. Yeah, why is this 2 ones here? Yeah, 9 of wands. Cause see, these people, they got these individuals here feeling like they're just beat up, you know? Both of them. That's what they're feeling when they're sitting there in that 2 of wands, you know? And they you know, this situation right here, they just feel beat up, you know, they don't know what to do. Like, so the masculine, he's kind of just going with what he knows, you know? Because he's familiar with the institution, and he's more familiar with the water, you know, and so he's gonna try to navigate that water. He's divine, you know, and so he needs to know how to navigate all 4 elements, right? And that's what she's trying to teach you over here. That's what she's trying to do too. But she's got to be real earthly right now because he's out just adrift, you know. And so it's on her to be strong in her masculine and try to maintain the pinnacles that they have, to try to maintain the earth, you know, try to keep this 1 wand right here in their hands, right? Because this is their divine union. That's that divine union that is inside all of us that we can share with other individuals, but we have to have it within ourselves first, you know. We can't be out of balance. We can't have one of them leaning on it while the other one's laying down. We got to both stand tall, you know, 10 toes down, man. Make sure there's no holes in our story and shit. Because if there's holes in the story of the institution and we want to go up against the institution with holes in our story, that's just going to be problems, you know, because nobody's going to win in that situation. That's just a losing game for everybody, you know. And so, yeah, and so like these 2 are in separation because of this, you know, because of this situation. These 2, their internal balances are off, you know. They're not in unison in their divine, you know. Like these smaller coins represent that there's a little bit of karmic energy here, you know. Maybe a little bit more for one than the other, and that's the same reason here. You can see she's in the upright, he's on his side, so he's kind of like, you know, he's coming out on his side about it. 1, 2, I'll do 6, fuck it. Yeah, so what these 2 really want is they want to find the way that they can think together, you know, that their intellectual capacities can merge, and that they can find a way out of this that is makes sense, you know. So it's like they could take and passage their way through the struggle here, and maybe he could teach her how to navigate a little bit more of the water, you know, and she could teach him how to chase the pinnacles or how to get after it with the physical a little bit more, you know. And maybe that's why they've been brought together, you know. They finish each other out, you know. Like this wand here has cash value when they both have cash value, you know. So it's like, but right now it's out floating in the water, you know. It's just too much emotion. It's like it's not balanced, you know. It's not you know, it's like with us all, you know, we got to have the access to the wand. That's our magic, you know. That's our ability, that's our passion, that's our drive, that's our fire, you know. And then we got to have our sword, you know, because that's our thoughts. That's our beliefs, you know. That's what we know is truth, you know. That's what drives our passions, you know. That's what that fire is for, you know. You put a little air, you know, you think about something, and then you blow on that passion, that fire, which is your wand, and then that gets the ball rolling, you know. And then you got the energy to approach what it is that you're trying to accomplish in life, and then that's the the next step is the water. That's the voyage, and then that's also the intuitive process, So that's the knowing, It's like the passion is the drive, the air is the thought, So it's the intellectual, but the water is that knowing, it's like that you got everything you need intuitively, you'll get the answers you're going to need, you're going to get the direction that you're going to need, you can find safe passage, you can get through the rough waters into the safe, onto safe water, and water is the essential element of life, and so all things in life need water. You can't just create with fire and air. And then earth is the creation. It's what you're trying to accomplish. It's what you're taking these other elements to combine to create, and that's your earth, and that's your pinnacles. And so that's whatever it may be. I mean, it could be groups, it could be organizations, it could be material stuff. Like it could be, you're going to build a house, you're going to, but oftentimes, most importantly, it's you, it's your physical, it's how you're manifesting into this physically, the wands are your spirit, the air is your mind, and the water is your soul, And so these two are trying to find balance in that act inside ourselves. That's why you got to be familiar with what it is that the elements do, and how they act. I didn't want to take this card. I'll space it out and talking. Tip that quarter over there. But it's 6 cups, which is healing. Those two cards go hand in hand with each other. The 6 of Cups is about, again, it's about emotional growth, but it's with assistance of like spirit or of somebody. And I wouldn't even say spirit. I think spirit is really in this card more the one in the back watching over everything. There's in the tarot and the 6 of Cups, there's an individual that's standing behind, kind of back by the building, and he's got like a sword or something, And so I kind of see that as like spirit, that's God, because they're watching over these two individuals that are trying to have a emotionally healing experience. They're trying to have an emotional fulfilling experience, but it's like the one individual has the 6 cups that they're trying to share to the smaller of the two individuals, but the smaller of the two individual almost looks like an older spirit than the one that's giving the cup to them, in a lot of ways. When I look at it, it could look that way. I mean, it could look like a doll figure, but it almost kind of looks like grandma too, And the boy handing the cup to the grandma looks like an adolescent, or whatever, And so, I don't know. I always found that confusing about that card, but it's a size thing too, And so in this read, I definitely see that as somebody who has a little bit more understanding of what it is that they're trying to share. That's God's, because ultimately the cups are God's anyways. It's like it's not either individuals. It's the lessons that God is trying to teach through another individual, and that's just why they look bigger than the other individual, because they're trying to share that knowledge with them so they can grow, And so I think that's why on the coins here, the feminine over here comes out in the upright, because she's standing upright in her seat. It's a woman. It's one of the British leaders or whatever, because that's a coin from Britain, I believe, or New Zealand. But it's a trident. They got a trident in their hand, and then they're sitting on a throne or whatever, like they're a ruler, and it's feminine. And then the masculine over here, it's just the head, like the head's on the coin, but it's another one of the British rulers, king or whatever. And but he's got his face, he's got his face laying down, And so I think that the feminine is just maybe trying to help the king here, so that he could get a roll up in the upright and then take a good look at this institution, because he's right now looking down. But if he were to look upright, he's going to look straight at that institution and how it's blocking his abundance. And so the Queen of Cups upside down, that's a person who is not using their intuition. It's a person who has the ability to see things and does see things for how they are, but because they have a strong intuition, but they're choosing not to use that intuition, and they're choosing not to see it, So this Queen of Cups right here is choosing not to see that there's actually an Ace of Cups, a loving relationship, opportunity for a loving relationship between these two here, And so this Queen of Cups, that energy of that Queen of Cups, not seeing that as a blessing is causing this Queen of Cups to come out in the reverse, which makes that person emotionally manipulative and unavailable. It can make them very controlling, conniving. It's usually, honestly, it's toxic mother figure. Is the Queen of Cups in reverse is a toxic mother figure, because the Queen of Cups in the upright position is a very intuitive, very loving, very kind, very nurturing individual. She's the Queen of Cups. She's the Queen of Hearts. She's the Queen of Love. And so and she's Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Water sign. That's why there's the water right here. And so, like, with this shell up here, with this seashell, that could be represented. That could be representative of that Queen of Cups in reverse, because that coin that's next to that seashell, that's that wand right there, and that wand says no cash value. And then death, death is beginnings and endings and beginnings, And so the or transformation. It's a Scorpio card, and so it's water, Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. But it's a card that represents spiritual growth, or change. And so everything in life that when we learn something, we have to unlearn something, generally speaking, and that's what the death card represents. Because, like, especially if we're a little bit older up in age, with the Queen of Cups in reverse here, that's generally probably a middle-aged woman, older woman, because she's had time to go in the reverse, Like, we're not just born that way. Life makes us that way if we're not paying attention, and that's the truth. And so there's going to be something for this Queen of Cups in reverse, because this falls out on this Eight of Swords, And so, like I was saying, that there's a binding situation going on here between this masculine and feminine energy of this divine individual right here. That is in the Two of Wands, but can't decide whether or not to put the globe down or the wand, because they don't know that there is really cash value in that wand, and they know that they have this wand here, but they're just kind of holding this wand behind them. And I think that's their divine union of masculine and feminine. They haven't decided yet. They haven't, they can't see the value in the feminine because of the examples that they have had set to them, and they know that there's no cash value. But then they also haven't had a good example of what the masculine is either, and so they're kind of hiding from their own fact that they are masculine, that they have the masculine in them as well, And so, yes, indeed. And so there's going to be, see, something here has got to go, There's something here that is causing this two of wands, because that's two of wands right there. So that's what this situation is here. These are the two wands, And so this individual, this divine being, has to heal their mother issues, straight up, And I can relate with that. That resonates with me deeply, honestly. I'm in the process of doing so. Sometimes, you got to just cut people out. Like, it's just what it is. It's rough, it's rugged, and like it is. But I've had to accept it, and then, like, I forced the relationship with my karmic mother and mother figure, and like she, we reciprocated, but it was never comfortable for me. But then once I realized that that's what the discomfort was stemming from, because of the dysfunction of that relationship, and I cut it out of my life, it seems like I'm the only one that felt the pains of that, the woes of that, because that person just was like, well, fine, whatever, I'm too cool for school. Screw you, they didn't put no effort in trying to resolve any of the issues, or even acknowledge any of the issues, or try to be accountable for that stuff, and that was supposed to be a representative for me, but the last time I've spoken with that individual, it's been about 4 years, and I'm, the longer that it goes, the more clear I see, that, like, well, that person, sure, like, I came from that person's body, but like that person, it doesn't, they don't see it like that, like I'm expendable, it's like they're just like, whatever, if you're not going to put effort into me, always, and then accept that I don't have to put any back into you, then screw you, and that's kind of the same relationship that it was with my father too, well, no, not kind of, it's the way it was, and he both of them, but that's what makes me a divine, and that's how one of the ways we know that we're divine, like when we struggle with the relationships, especially the ones that are so intimate, like that, like the relationship with our mother and our father, these are our examples so that we can learn to understand our internal operations, of how to balance your if you got a healthy mother figure who is in her masculine, but understands what that means and knows how to represent it, and you got a healthy father figure who's in his feminine and knows how to be in it. And I think a lot of divine couples are laid out that way because it's all about everything in this world is inverted, It's the inverted world, And so when you hit that divine status, they're asking you to really finally master yourself in an element that is the final element that's unknown to you, And that's the Empress energy or the Emperor energy, probably, depending on how it was when you were created, because like when you're brought to your divine partner, that's how you guys were created together out of the same mold, from the Most High, just like yourself, And so, but there is two that physically exist, yes, but there's one that needs to be balanced first, and that's that balance that you establish with the Most High. That's the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, man, because that's internally, like you have to balance your feminine and your masculine and your relationship with the Holy Ghost, and when you have that relationship with Most High to where you're listening to them as Adam and Eve in your own garden, then you get the messages, and then that's when you're able to receive a connection that's as powerful as your divine counterpart, because that's something that it don't happen all the time. And, the world's got to be ready for that shit. It ain't like just even about just you, man. Like, the world's got to be ready. What do you think, Spirit? Yeah, see? Because, like, this nine of fucking wands right here, this nine of wands, this masculine, he really does feel like he's got his ass beat, man. He really does. He's like, He thinks that this whole situation is dead. It's over, He thinks so, because he's being told so by a karmic familiar figure, a karmic mother, a karmic father, And they're telling him that the situation's no good, that they're binding them with those lies, And that's what's going on here, But you can see here, this divine individual is really, really, really close to the land right there, man. They're like right there on the beach, And then this one out here, they're out a little further, the water, That other one, it's out there, And so whatever the water's offering, it's a further reach. It's far away, this individual, it's holding this wand right here close to itself, And so these are earth angels, man, because that's earth, That's earth, man. Right? The moon right now, it's all the way over here. Somebody needs to be using their intuition. Ooh, thank you, Spirit. That one jumped right out of there. So, yeah, man. Because see, look. This four swords right here is this four swords is this masculine. He's sleeping on the fact that these people are fucking with his head with black magic, because that's the King of Wands in reverse with the Knight of Swords, And so that Knight of Swords, he's just a kid, He don't know jack shit. He's running his mouth. He's jumping into battle. Look at this, with his mask up off his face. And he's charging into battle because he wants to run his fucking mouth instead of even properly protect himself, man. I mean, that's pretty fucking stupid. See that shit? Look. Riding into the wind, man. He's one of these motherfuckers pisses in the wind, gets mad because he gets some on his boots, blames you, Even his horse looks stupid. See, look, man. I think that horse has got fetal alcohol syndrome. Fucking looks stupid to me. Stupid motherfucker riding in on a white, stupid fucking horse, That's not very smart. With his face uncovered, so he can run his fucking mouth, cause he ain't jack shit. This motherfucker right here, they ain't jack shit, but they think they're a fucking King of Wands, but they're in the reverse because they're practicing black magic on you, man. And that's the truth, While you're sitting here and you're sleeping on it, you don't want to admit that to your fucking self, man. You know? Sitting there sleeping on it. Why these 2 6s here, Spirit? Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is, man. See, look. This queen, she knows that. Cause that queen, that's you, you know that. You know that this little knight right here is a piece of shit. Because honestly, you know them. So they're a friend, they're family, they're ex-lover, they're cousin, sister, brother, wife, who knows? You can't trust a single motherfucker out here nowadays, man. And that queen right there, she's already turned her back on this motherfucker, whoever this is right here. This knight that's coming in playing fucking, they think they're Harry Potter, man. They do, you know, and they're trying to swim with big fish. That's stupid. That's stupid. You know, they're trying to perpetuate this lie. These ones right here, this guy right here is part of this institution right here. And a big part of this lie, because this, all this black magic and shit has been what's bound this individual, this divine individual right here, so they can't find their union, you know? That's what bound them, you know? And this Queen of Cups right here is related to this King of Wands right here, but this Queen of Cups knows that this King of Wands is really just a Knight of Swords, and so she's using him. Definitely. Most definitely. Spirit, why is she using him? Yeah, she wants to block the 2 of Cups, you know? She wants to block the 2 of Cups. It's mallow. Edible, tender young leaves, you know? Yeah, she wants to hurt things that are tender and young, you know? She wants to eat up tender young things, you know? That's what she wants. That's why she uses this Knight of Swords over here. Because she don't give a fuck about them. She don't like young things. She thinks young things are supposed to be eaten, you know? You know? Yep. Yeah, it says, tender young leaves, eat them raw. You know, that's what she likes, man. That's brutal, you know. So this person right here is no good. They're standing in the way of a lot of shit, causing this 8 of Swords right here, and trying to cause endings, you know. Endings. But I honestly think that this one right here, no, this card's in the upright, so she's trying to stop endings, you know. She's trying to stop endings. But there is no new beginnings, you know. It's all on false premises, because that wand that she's offering is of no cash value. This is water, man. And so this individual who she is trying to bind, you know, and bring these endings, she's trying to convince them that there's new beginnings, but there's not, you know. There's not. It's just going to be swords in your back, you know. Got to be swords in your back, you know. And so this eight of Cups right here, it says that instead of taking that death, you know, instead of having to take that ending, walk away from that shit. That's what it says, you know. And if you walk away from it, then that gets you to claim these 2 cups over here, and those 2 together, that's a 10 of Cups right there, man. That's 10 of Cups, you know. And that's why you started on this journey in the first place with that ace right there. It is, you know, because you want to cut yourself free from this binding, you know. You don't want to be bound no more. You know that you're out of 2 of Wands situation, and you know that you have to make a decision. You're just trying to figure out how you could switch that shit up so that you get this wand 2 to have cash value. That's why you feel like you only have 9 wands, you know. But the 9 wands you have, they're fucking powerful. You got a lot of earth, you got a lot of material, you got a lot of stability, you got a lot of confidence, you got a good healthy body, you got a good healthy partner, you have everything you need to kick ass on earth, you know. You don't need to go out drifting around in the water trying to find something different and hoping that it'll work, because there's no cash value in that. But you know, you want all 10 wands, you want to carry your fucking load, man, and that's cool. I agree with that, you know. And so you got to quit sleeping on it, you know. You got to get your ass up and start, even if you got to swim, you know. Do what you got to do to heal, to get that healing, man. That's how you set yourself free from this Queen of Wands up over here, fucking with your emotions and shit. Fucking with your intuition and trying to tell you fucking lies and everything. Having the hole in their story because they're so closely bound to this motherfucking institution right here, man. Don't let them stand in between you and what you love and all your abundance with that fucking pig's tooth, you know? Like, that's just what it is. Like, seriously, you know? And that's what that Eight of Cups is telling you. That Eight of Cups is saying, hey, pick up your shit and fucking leave, you know? Don't be this motherfucker right here begging because he's raping children. That's a motherfucker right there. That motherfucker rapes children, man. His little Pope outfit, his little fucking shit. We all know it's true. Well, we are this motherfucker right here. We are death. Why we gotta listen to their bullshit, their lies, their emotional manipulation, their abuse, you know, their black magic, and they're raping our children? See, look at this shit. He's trying to offer this child to death, thinking, oh, come on, man. You just take these kids right here and just do whatever. And then just look the other way because I fucking murdered this motherfucker over here and took his kids. So I give them to you to try to save my own fucking pale white fucking piece of shit blue ass. Child raping fucking chomo piece of shit ass. Death don't fucking take that shit. No way, man. Death already knows what this bitch is. Death's fucking already handled that bitch because that's that bitch. Fuck that bitch. You already walked all over that bitch to get to this motherfucker and solve the problem. That's the upper ups. That's them ones that these dumb bitches right here are working for. They think they're something special. They thought they're something special, you know. But see, death cares more about this bitch right here. That's why this bitch is bigger. This bitch right here, he don't give a fuck about killing that one. You know. Death don't give a fuck. God don't care about punishing real sick, twisted, chomo-ass motherfuckers. But this Queen of Pentacles, for whatever reason, she's got something. This death right here, he wants. That one wants, man. That one loves, you know. And so they got to try to trust this one a little bit. But I don't know, man. It ain't looking good. Because these motherfuckers lie, and they're doing black magic, you know. And that's why Death says, well, shit, man. Then I'm going to fucking be the Queen of Truth here. You know, and we're just gonna have to figure out what we got to cut away, and so we can keep this two hearts right here. If it's all we gotta save it, and then we'll do this. We'll take this 2 of hearts and we'll put it with this 8 of hearts right here. We'll walk off in the fucking sunset. And we got 10 of hearts, man. So we got love, and that's all that fucking matters. Spirit, who wants to put these swords in people's backs and why, man? That's see, these people, they want to treat you like they're doing you favors when they stick these swords in your back. They want to act like they're, with that 6 of coin right there, they want to act like you're on your hands and knees begging them for help and that they got the judgment and the scales over you and they're going to give you what you need with your little bit of handout, your little coin, your little universal income, your little fucking bullshit, right? Free housing and everything, right? Or whatever, they'll let you stay at their place for free, or they'll fucking do whatever, give you a ride here and there and shit. And then they're just sitting there the whole time sticking swords in your back, man. And trying to take away from you the things that you know that you love, you know? Yep, because the sunflower. And that's the sunflower, but that's the sunflower in reverse. The sunflower is a very beautiful plant, you know, but it's got to stand tall and it's got to hold its head up and it's got to move with the sun because that's what it does. You watch a sunflower plant, yeah, all day long, its flowers, it moves with the sun, man. That's how you kind of know what time it is, like natural clock, you know? And so that's you. You're the sunflower, but they got you in the fucking reverse because they're sticking all these fucking swords in you that you got your head drooped down so fucking far, you can't track the sun like that, man. And that's not what you're here for. You're beautiful. You got a beautiful face. You got beautiful shine on you. You know, God put their blessings and their anointment on you. God gave you everything you fucking need so that you stand out there and you are the truth. You stand against these lies. That's why you got that 9 of wands right there. Because, hey, man, no matter what, you know, you stand there tall. You know, you still keep growing. They keep shoving swords at you. You still keep growing. You know, you're still doing it. You know. And that's all that matters. You ain't no charity case, man. Fuck these motherfuckers. You ain't no asking nobody for no fucking handout. You're that 9 of fucking wands up there. You're like, nah, screw you. You all took my fucking shit. Y'all are trying to whoop on my ass. Y'all trying to tell me to hang my head down so I can't track the sun like God made me to do. And so you're saying, fuck your lies, man. I'm going to stand up. I'll fight every single one of you. All 10 of them swords. I'll fight every single one of you. Because every one of those is a negative thought that I know a positive thought that I can respond to that negative thought with that could fucking make those swords into abundance for me, man. And that's you, you know. You're going to carry those swords off and you're going to build yourself a life that is going to show everybody what the hell badass fucking means, man. That's what you're going to do. Most certainly. Because you're going to heal And as you heal, you're going to heal others, you know? That's what's up. See, you're walking around here carrying these swords because you're not a liar. You're walking around carrying those swords because you're going over here and there's two people right here that need to be healed, right? And so when you showed up, you had 7 swords, man. And those are your way of thinking. You're like, hey, man, I got something for you. You said, I got a present for you, and it's a new way of thinking. And then here, you can have it. You know, here, this is your sword, right? And then you said the same thing for this person over here that was next to that person. He said, hey, I got a way of thinking for you as well, you know. You could have this sword, and then you all got something to fight with, man, because there's a group of people back here that are out here causing grief and causing trouble in the secret, in the shadow. You can hardly even tell what the fuck they are, man. They're back here, but these are their tents. They got these big fancy tents and shit, and they told these two people, hey, you ain't good enough for being our tent, you know? But you came along because they've been telling you that your whole life to the point where you don't even give a fuck anymore, man. You're like, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. Swords are a dime a dozen for me. You say, you go every camp I go in, I can steal their thoughts because all these motherfuckers out here ain't even using them. And that's what you said. And so you're picking that shit up everywhere you go. You're like, fuck, I got swords always. I always got all kinds of free thinking for you. That's going to help you turn your shit around and where you don't even give a fuck about their tents, man. You go live with God. You become that messenger, you know. You become the one with all the swords that you didn't even steal. You just picked them up out of the bushes because all these motherfuckers are wasting their fucking thoughts, man. They're wasting their fucking shit. They just give it away. They give their thoughts away just because simply people don't want them to use their thoughts. Because if they don't use their thoughts, that makes those people more powerful, right? So they just convince these other people, hey, just throw your thoughts away. They don't even want their thoughts because in reality, those other people don't think anyways either. They just don't want nobody else thinking, you know, because they got everybody else stupid enough that they don't got to think because everybody just gives them their abundance, gives them their wealth, throws their fucking goddamn thoughts out in the bushes and shit, and leaves us all fucking just hanging, man. And so that's the deal, you know. And if you look around you, you're going to see all kinds of ways, all kinds of examples that you can set yourself free. And that's the truth, man. And that's the truth. That's 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups is a free individual that fills his own cups, man. That ain't relying on nobody. Don't rely on nothing, man. He goes with what God gives him. And we got that 2 of Wands again. There's that 2 of Wands again, you know. And so this is what this individual is thinking about right now. While they're standing right there, you know. And that 2 of Wands energy. Because they got a decision they got to make, man. They need to make a plan. They need to come up with the idea as to how they're going to get themselves out of this situation. You know. Because it's not going to serve them their purpose, you know. They got this 3 of Coins here, which is they need to collaborate. You know, the 3 of Coins is a 3-way collaboration. Like I often say, though, that's Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and Father God. But that's in the one individual as a divine being. You know, and so this individual is working with the Most High. That's what these are. They're working with the Most High. That's the daisy, you know. The daisies are awesome, man. Very cool. We all know daisies. Daisies are like about making chains, you know, and that's how life is. You make a daisy chain, man, to show people how you love them and stuff, you know. And so you're out in the field making daisy chains with God right now, you know. That's this 3 of Pentacles right here. And so Queen of Pentacles is Queen Anne's lace. Or the 3 of Pentacles is Queen Anne's lace. And it says crush and sniff for a carrot smell. Because, yeah, they're related to carrots. That way you know it's not poison hemlock because they look a lot like poison hemlock, you know. So God's going to show you how to tell what's good for you and what's not good for you, you know. God's going to show you how you crush and sniff the stem of this Queen Anne's lace. And then you smell it and you know it's like a carrot. See, that's a wild carrot, man, alias, you know. And so that's how you distinguish it from them poisonous lookalikes, man, because you're dealing with lookalikes. You got people that are trying to collaborate with you, and they're standing in the way of your ascension with this 5 of Swords right here. You know, you're growing. You know, you're gathering them swords that you're going to share with the world. You know, that's what you're doing right now. That's what God's doing with you. You know, that's what the truth is that this Queen's telling right here. That Queen of Swords is telling. That Queen of Swords is saying that this one right here is growing, and they're developing their relationship with the Most High. So that they could work together collaboratively with the Most High and then be in their ascended self, in their North Node as this individual right here. And they could reach over and then they are the individual and they realize that the value of this wand is in them. That's when they realize why this water here has been trying to keep them separate from that one and convince them that this one right here has no cash value, because that's what that coin says. Look. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. No cash value. You know? But that's bullshit. That's just what you're being told, you know? You don't want to listen to them. That's the institution that's telling you lies, man. That's the institution. That's the government. That's the church. That's the schools. That's our families. That's everything right now. The only thing that you have right now is your intuition, you know? And you need to trust that intuition, because if you don't, these motherfuckers out here, they're going to start working on you, you know? And they're going to bind you up, man. And then you got to get in. You're going to try to bring shit down on you, you know? But you got to get into that fucking death mode, man. You got to realize that these people out here, they've been doing you wrong for a long time. And they've been doing us all wrong for a long time. And it's all the same individuals, you know. Oftentimes it's ourselves, you know. So this whole story could just be inside your biome, man. It could just be you, you know. Or this could be a story that's going on that you're experiencing with another individual that you could consider to be a divine counterpart. Or this could be a story that's playing out on the global scale, man, with the politics and everything that's going on today. You know, I know for a fact that there's some high upper ups right here that are out here causing some trouble. I want to squeal on their asses, you know. But I'm gonna tell you right now, don't take your kid to the governor's mansion in Colorado. At least not 10 years ago. Just saying. Probably not a safe place, man. And that's where a lot of this shit, a lot of these motherfuckers, you know, that's the kind of individuals that they're trying to please, is these upper-ups, man. You've got these little people that get in there, they get impressed by some bullshit, you know, they want to prove something. They got a weak intuition, they got a weak emotional state, they feel insecure, they lack confidence, whatever, you know. And so they get involved with these upper-up individuals, they bind themselves, and then they get in these spots where they're begging, you know, to some piece of shit, death-worshipping motherfucker, man. You got to watch out for this shit. This lady out here, she says, Empress 444, you gotta be more careful, you know, you just gotta be careful, man. And she's absolutely right about that one. I absolutely agree with her on that one. But, yeah, so, that's it, I guess. This thing right here, this is, my Agaricon. It's an Agaricon. This is an Agaricon. It's, they're almost nearly extinct. They're very, very rare. In fact, like there's very few of them that have been identified. They grow strictly in old growth conifer forests, you know, and so they become very rare because all the old growth has been cut down. There isn't anymore. But it's a prehistoric mushroom. Mine has been preserved. They turn white. They get like chalk when they get preserved, you know. But it's a very spiritual item, you know, very rare. Indigenous cultures, you know, the shamanic cultures, they would have one of these because they get really big. They get up to like 50 pounds, you know, and they would have it their whole life. It was part of their practice. And then when they passed, they would make their death mask with it, you know. And so I feel really, really privileged to have found an Agaricon. I found it in an old forest that had already been logged, but there was a small standing of trees that were not healthy, not very good timber, you know, or whatever. So they just left them, you know. And so it was on the side of one of them, on one of the old snags, you know. And so, I don't know. I love my Agaricon. I was wanting to, I forgot I had it on my desk, you know, and I was cleaning my desk. I found it underneath a big pile of rocks. I got piles of rocks everywhere, you know. And this is a turkey tail mushroom. I was talking about this yesterday, but that's turkey tail mushroom, and it's a very, very good medicine. They grow abundantly out here. They cure all kinds of cancer and many other pathogens. You know, they're antiviral. They're very, very potent too. You know, like they say that this mushroom right here will make you live forever. We have a lot of these. These are abundant. You know, and you can honestly hit me up in the comments if you're interested in something along those lines, because I get it fresh out here. They grow all the time. But then this one here is a Ganoderma. It's a reishi, so it's a Ganoderma organensis, I think. But it's the varnish top, the varnish cap reishi. And these are the mushroom of life right here. They say the Chinese, they have one, it's a lang zai, it's a little bit different. It has more of a stem, but the reishi, you can identify the reishi because it has a stem, like this one stem right here, singularly connects to the tree. The rest of it's not. And because it looks just like the red artist conch, but the red artist conch connects all the way, this just grew next to the tree, but you can see right here, it was connected, And then the other way that is because the reishi will leave just the stem on the tree, but it'll shed the fruiting body. So this is what this season's fruiting body. You'll find these underneath the trees. They look like horseshoes. They look like a little horseshoe right here. But the other conchs, they don't do that. They grow in layers, And so this looks kind of like it's growing in layers, but it's not. This will peel off, and then after the season, it grows for 1 year, and then it falls off. And that's how you identify them as well, because you'll find the dead fruiting body from the previous season underneath the tree. And so that's identifiable. And then they'll have this glossy edge. You can see how they're glossy where the growth is, And these are another one. I take all of them. I combine them with lion's mane, which is another one we have out here, and psilocybin, which is another one we have out here, but just very extremely small amount. Microdose with those. But anyhow, I don't know. I have my mushrooms. I was looking at them, and I wanted to share about that. So that's the read. That's what the message that Grandma got to me, man. And I want to thank you, Most High, for taking good care of Grandma, man. Take good care of me, Take good care of little guy. Having good spirits around us, I really appreciate that, and like keeping me safe, because this world's really kind of crazy nowadays. And I'm not really seeing eye to eye with a lot of people, but you gave me a safe place to be, and you provide for me, and you show to me every day why you need to be the number one priority in my life, because you always make me the number one priority in yours, and I really feel that, and I really appreciate that, and I love you, and please extend that same grace for the collective that's listening right now, man, because these people too, man, they're going through it, just like me probably. So yeah, y'all. Hope this resonates, If it does, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe and all that. Share it, get it out there, share it to people. And I want to keep trying to do this, just keep going with this thing, and I keep putting out the shorts, on the off-grid living tips or whatever. And so if you want to check those out, they're on my channel. I made a little playlist and stuff, And so yeah, if you made it this far in the read, I appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. And then I will probably do another one here later. I was going to go out and plant some carrots, which it's funny that Queen Anne's lace came up, So I'm going to go out and plant some carrots and get that garden going, because I think that's going to be an essential tool for me this year, both financially, metaphysically, I think also emotionally, and then it might just be a real lifesaver, because the politics and the world affairs today are crazy, man. They're trying to really fuck us up, and so we're all here together, man. And I love y'all, and God loves you all, and little guy says if you come visit, feed him. Yeah, peace out.